Hello and welcome back to the Middle-earth in Mercia podcast. This is episode 24 and I'm glad to announce that this is going to be another one of our tournament preview episodes. We're really excited to take you through it. We've got our second ever GBHL event, which is GBHL90 Embrace the Darkness once again at Venator Tabletop Gaming. And for this one, Ash is the head TO, so he's going to be taking through us through a few of the details in a moment. But yeah, from this episode, you can expect sort of more of the same as we did previously. We're going to tell you a bit about the event, build a little bit of hype for it, and then we're going to go through some lists and really get people amped for the coming weekend and the big day of gaming we've got on Saturday. So with that said, Ash, I've got your title card up. Do you want to sort of take us through an overview of the event and what people can expect from this weekend?
Yeah, so it's Embrace the Darkness, as you said. I've come up with a special darkness rule that we'll go through in a minute for the event, with the aim of trying to force people to maybe have a bit more of a combat style army and get into those fights and have a more fighty list than a shooty list.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing quite a lot of variety in the list as we'll go through, and also as I guess we're settling in now into the edition a bit more. We've been in it for about a couple of months, so we might start seeing a meta sort of appear, and maybe some old favourites start returning back into the scene. Now people have sort of play tested lists and stuff, so yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. I think we've got some returning players from the last tournament. We've got some new players come in. So yeah, we've managed to increase our capacity slightly, so we've got an extra couple of people. So yeah, really looking forward to the day and letting people play another 4 games and seeing how it all plays out on the table.
And, because I know there's often, and it's something we've spoken about with viewers in the past, there's a lot of people out there that are interested in being TOs in the future. We are doing this together, but we've decided to sort of take turns doing 75% of the workload, and this is your time in the spotlight. How have you found it so far, prepping, organising, and dealing with people directly?
Yeah, I think it's run pretty smoothly, but we've had a few more hiccups this time in terms of we actually had a couple of people drop out of this one where we didn't have that before. So we've had to sort of run through that. Also, the special rule obviously is going to start bringing in extra questions from people, so there's a lot more questions than normal. We were pretty good with the list, so I think everyone got it in on time. I had to chase 2 people, but they still managed to get it in for sort of my deadline. And they're all to the standard we sort of want. So which is good, makes it a lot easier for me to organise that, and obviously for the people on the day, they can obviously see the list. So after this video is launched, we'll release those lists so people can start looking at them and strategizing. I've got a unique idea that I think I'm going to do on the day, where we're going to actually roll the scenarios out live before each round, so no one knows them until the very moment you start playing it, which I think is quite a unique aspect. People haven't done that before. So my plan is that the first round is going to be rolled off by one of the Centurions because he was the last one to get his list in. And then also after that, we'll do whoever is at the bottom of the pack, they can roll off, and that's how we'll find out what scenario we're playing next.
All right, cool.
We'll bring coverage of that for the event as well.
Yeah, cool. So shall we move on to your big headline rule?
Yeah.
I've got your special rule up. So the rule is, if outside of 12 inches and you attempt to shoot a model, you will suffer a 4+ in the way test for all models. If the model has other in the way tests, then you also need to roll these tests after the Embrace the Darkness rule. Cave Dweller rules still apply as written, so ignore this rule altogether. There is no +1 to wound when shooting in darkness under the Embrace the Darkness rule. Elven Cloak rules still apply as written, and the Embrace the Darkness special rule does not count as a model being in cover. For the purposes of this rule, they still have to be obscured by terrain. So, yeah, that lays out pretty well what your intent is for the rule, but you mentioned you wanted to drive more combat-driven armies. Why don't you tell us a bit about that, Ash? And if you've seen it reflected in the lists that have come in as well.
Yeah, so I think I like the aspect of like armies charging into each other, getting those sort of heroic combats and things happening, as opposed to someone standing back and maybe shooting at someone and then taking the objective at the end, or moving on to an objective and just having like shooting and making people move around the board. I quite like the idea of forcing people to get closer together and really roll it out and play the game that way. I think looking at the lists, it has driven that way. We've still got 2 Dale lists, so that's interesting. I thought that might put that sort of list off. But I think a lot of people, as we'll go through, have sort of picked those lists that benefit from not having those like the ranged weapons on them.
Yeah. Okay then.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Okay, so moving on. Ash decided that our videos are not often long enough, so he's added in a breaking news section to interrupt this video, and that's the announcement of the Armies of Middle-earth book and a new plastic IMRAHEL. So you and me actually haven't had an opportunity to speak about this at all, have we, Ash? So, I mean, my 2 takeaways are, because I do think we need to keep this section brief. Yeah, it's good, Armies of Middle-earth, and they've given us a list of the armies that are going to be included, and that is quite interesting. However, no release date, okay, so, who knows how long. No mention of legacies, which is a shame. Prince Imrahil, I feel a lot more positive about. Yeah, finally, here's a good plastic model for a big name book character. This is a massive glow up. I really like the model. If they make it so that you don't have to buy Forge World to run Swan Knights, as in the dismounts, I'd be really interested in picking that up and playing with that army. Really cool, and Prince Imrahil's a really cool book character. What about yourself, Ash?
Yeah, I think I'm a bit annoyed by another plastic model that isn't in the film when we've still got models in the current books we can't use.
Yeah.
And don't have models for.
Yeah.
I'd like to see those models come out first.
Don't you think it's sorry, I don't want to interrupt you too much, but don't you think it's a bit of an inconsistent narrative that they were like, oh, it's all about film characters. We want to make sure that everything is represented that's in the film with a good model. And then, yeah, I don't say things like that if that's not the plan. But anyway, sorry, carry on.
Yes, yeah. Again, like we've got a couple of models we haven't had yet, and they're giving us plastic models we don't really need. And it feels like on Facebook and things, all is forgiven by the fans now. Games Workshop have told us we've got a new book come in, we've got a new cool plastic model, we've forgiven them. But like you say, there's no dates yet, and when you actually look at the amount of lists that are going to be in that book, it's still not that many editions, and a couple of those we've already had because it's the ones from the Arnor PDF.
I mean, I do hope it came across in like our episode with the other day. You and me are feeling like actually pretty positive about this edition, and we found some stuff that interest us and stuff, and the game is really solid. But I think it's really unfortunate that we do have to sort of face the reality that, regardless of what people are saying on Facebook in reaction to things like this, and regardless of how well tournament reaction is going, there does seem to be like a real disappointment in the wider community. And by that, I mean like people that aren't necessarily going to tournaments, that aren't necessarily posting in the tournament groups, the people that probably make up, the majority of the player base, the people that watch our videos, watch other content creators, and are buying it and making sales viable. Amongst that community, there does seem to be a massive disappointment with this edition. I think a good example was you were looking at running a slow grow league and it didn't seem like it was going to be viable. And I know that there was another quite notable big slow grow league that last year had over 50 members. And I saw on their post they were only able to get one sign up this year. It is worrying because if the sales aren't there, no matter how much people that are, avid addicts of this game, like ourselves and other tournament goers, there's going to be a decline unless like the wider community are amped up about it. And it doesn't matter what anybody writes on a Facebook comment, does it?
No, and I think there is a general like feeling out there that people aren't enjoying this edition and the new way of playing, and maybe feel a bit disheartened by the model releases and stuff. I know one of our friends, he's played one game of it so far, and he was quite an avid player. So yeah, it seems a bit like it's deflated a bit, the balloon.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, like you and other people have allowed me to use proxy models or slightly unpainted armies. I came into this edition and I had no viable armies. Like they had mucked around with the army creation so much and not included forces that I had no viable armies. And if that happened to me, that happened to other people. And you can see, if I've got kill teams sitting on the shelf, if I've got a new old world army that's ready to go, people will just play those other games, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. And I think maybe 6 months' time, a lot more people will start playing because we'll have the new book, hopefully. People will have more armies they can build from the models they've got. Maybe that, like you say, that's the case with you, where we've had to use proxies and stuff. Maybe we'll see more people playing it once the sort of rules stop fluctuating and sort of settle down a bit, and we've got army lists for all of the models that we can use.
Because
obviously we've still got legacies, we're still not aware on when they're coming.
Well, yeah, I'll say one more thing and then we'll get your response and then we do need to move on. I almost feel like this edition needs a relaunch. Like when the legacies drop, when this book drops, give us something big, give us some more warriors. Like it's almost like the momentum has been lost, and I do worry about maybe waiting 9 months until the next big release. I think people will have lost interest and they will have people invest as well. If you want an old world army, you're looking at a couple of £100. If you're looking at a 40k army, you're looking at maybe £500. People invest. We need to not miss the boat. What do you think, Ash? And then we'll move on.
Yeah, I think maybe a new army box or something like that, or a couple of new battle hosts to coincide with the new book might inject a bit more passion back into the game, I think.
Yeah. It can't
more new troops, plastic troops, I think.
Yeah. It for a game to be commercially viable and keep expanding, it's the wider community, not those of us that are obsessed and going to tournaments. That we're not the bread and butter of the sales. It's the people we never hear from, the people that click like on a video and once in a while comment. It is those people that make up the numbers. But with that said, we have got a hardcore group of individuals coming this weekend. Really excited about the tournament. Let's move on to something more this is positive, but you get what I mean. Universally positive, and build some hype for this event. It's going to be a great weekend, like I say. So we're on to the next one. So Ash, you are doing major, minor, and draws. Anything different here, or is this just the standard?
Just the standard, like what we did last time.
Yeah.
I am now using the new version in Longshanks for the new Middle Earth in Longshanks, so
it's all updated.
All the proper armies are in there. Yeah.
Cool. And then moving on, you've done a quick run through of the teams that are in attendance. So we've got the home team there, Centurions of Mercia. I think it's 5 people definitely playing, but up to 7 playing, and then we've got a few locals that we've seen before. I know the Wolves of Worcestershire, they came out before. We've got our immediate neighbours, Casabrum there. Quite a few familiar names. It's nice to see the teams being represented. I do think it's one of the better things that have been added to the GBHL in recent years. It gives a bit of competition to people that maybe if you're not competing right at the top. Right, let's move on. So we have 17 different army lists, a heavy favouring towards evil, 17 evil, 9 good. That's unusual, I think, because our analysis and other people's analysis has been pretty much universal that good seems to be slightly stronger than evil in this edition. So their most used list, Minas Morgul, although one of them is me, and one of the armies of Thror is John. So yeah, we can see there we've got 5 Minas Morgul lists, but like we say, one of them is me. What's DM, Ash? Can you take us through some of these?
That is DM. Depths of Moria.
Depths of Moria. Oh yeah, that's the Balrog lists. Then we've got BG.
Yeah.
Blackgate. So that's the amped up Mordor troll. Then we've got the 3 trolls. Only 2 of them this time. We had 3 last time. GD.
Garrisons of Dale.
Garrisons of Dale. I do think that's a bit of an unusual one for this special rule. EA.
Eagles.
Okay, Eagles. Yeah, they did well last time. And then I think we've got Fangon, and then Misty Mountains. Yeah. Then is that Arnor?
No. MI is Muster of Isengard.
Oh, Muster of Isengard. Sorry, what's AR then? Is that Arnor?
That's Arnor, yeah. And then we've got RK, which is Return of the King.
Okay, well.
And then we've got AWH, which is that Armies of the White Hand.
Yeah.
And so forth.
Okay, and then there's a few other individual ones. Of note, I do think in there is Goblin Town. That did very good last time out. So yeah, there is a bit of a mix there. I mean, I think we're still seeing the 4 classic things. We'll see how many I get to when I count through this. We're seeing a splash of magic, about the same as we saw last edition, which is a bit different from last time out. Less magic. We're seeing lists with numbers, and we're seeing lists with monsters, and we're seeing lists with high power heroes. So, those are the 4 pillars that we sort of spoke about in the last video. That all of these ways of playing the game do still seem incredibly viable, so it's going to be interesting. I mean, I've picked Minas Morgul. This is a list that I've been working on. My army isn't quite ready yet. We're going to have to see how I get on. This is one of my orcs, and I'm trying to repaint my trolls as well. I play it a bit differently. I've really been enjoying the trolls. We'll go into that in a bit because, we've got a few different flavours there. But, let's move on then into some more detail. Oh, sorry, you've done a better diagram here, really showing... this is leader, isn't it? So, Witch King of Angmar, most popular, Mordor Troll Chieftain. Then we've got Girion, Saruman, Balrog, Bill the Troll, and Gwalir making out the rest of the 2, and then a load of singles. So I think it's time to go through lists, isn't it? So this is what you've all been waiting for. This is the first place you can get a look at your opponent's lists. I think Ash is going to publish them a short time after the video drops. But if you want an exclusive, at least for a few hours, this is the place for it. So as we do, we make sure that it for those of us that could possibly stand in and play in the tournament, if we have some drops or whatever, we go through the list to show you that it is locked. And I gave this to Ash probably a month ago, so yeah, I don't have much excuse for not having my army ready. But yeah, this is just something that I'd been playing around in practice games. I'm really enjoying the trolls. They're really effective. Fight skill 7, defense 7, strength 7, 4 wounds. They don't have bad courage anymore. Intelligence test could be a bit better. But, you know, if the Witch King for some reason isn't around, they're not necessarily going to immediately run, which is really nice. Yeah, 8 wounds between those 180 points. No, sorry, 170 points. That's real. No, it is 180. 180. It's really not bad. Yeah, so I've just tried to fill. My requirement when making this list was 2 trolls. I want 2 trolls. I don't think it's quite the optimum amount of points. I think if we were at 600, then I could fully fill out the wall bands, have a few more numbers. But it is what it is. I wanted the 2 trolls. I found that I'd have to drop down even further numbers if I had the Witch King on horse, just a bit too expensive. My MO with this list is basically I've got 2 trolls. They're going to be a huge problem with you. For you. I'm probably going to keep them together, and then I'm going to support them with Witch King magic. That is a huge problem for any army. I think where I fall down a bit is if I have to separate out. This is massively diluted. If the Witch King was on a horse, I could send him and some orcs to one location, and the trolls and some orcs to another location. But with the Witch King not on horse, that's far less effective. But 2 trolls together with Witch King magic is a massive problem. What I've sort of been doing is, okay, you've come into me, or you're about to come into me. Here's a channeled transfix and so on. You've also got the Spectre in there, and he's able to compel people in. But more importantly, the reason I've got him in there is he allows the orcs to ignore terror rolls when charging in. So yeah, I wish the numbers were a bit higher. I'd feel more comfortable if they were sort of at 34. But, it is what it is. You can't have all your toys all the time. A little bit low on might. But I like that I've done something a bit different with Minas Morgul here. Ash, I think I've been pretty comprehensive in the pros and cons of my list. But anything to say again about it? You have played it at least once, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think having the Witch King there with the orcs is a big boost to their Blades of the Dead rule.
Yeah.
Because obviously you've got that -1. This time round, when we played it, you had some Morannons, but this time you've taken them off. So I think, yeah, you're really sort of pushing that special rule. I think where you might struggle is when you go against a high courage list with something like one of the elf lists that we've got, where it's got the high fight skill as well to sort of negate the trolls. But when you come against maybe a similar Minas Morgul list or another list where they don't quite have the fight skill there, I think you'll do really well against those.
I do,
and I think it's quite a good all-round list for all the scenarios. If you can get your troll, say for hold ground like what we played, if you get both trolls and the Witch King in the middle, that's what 3, 6, 9 points just for 3 models. So I think it's going to be a pretty tough list to beat, especially with 29 models, and especially with the special rule in place where you're not going to get someone's not going to sit there and just try and shoot you off the board because you've got no sort of shooting weapons.
monsters.
So I think it's a strong list, but I think when you come against a high power hero and a list with high courage, you might struggle a little bit there.
Well, I think it very much depends on player skill and how it's used, because I've been handling, not King Elisar version, but I've been handling Aragon in the Fellowship fairly easily with this list. I mean, like, you just throw channeled transfixes at him. You just throw lots of will at him, and you will break down those barriers. And then 2 trolls are quite hard for whatever else they've got to deal with. I love the fact that, like, someone could strike up to your troll to fight 7 or fight 8, but it's only for 1 turn. and they're D7, so they're quite hard to do more than like sort of 2 wounds in one turn. But there we go. That's enough talking about myself. Let's move on to John, another Centurion of Mercia and also Venator co-owner. So he is taking the army of Thror. He's got 24 models. He's got Thror, he's got 7 Grimhammers, Guardian of the King. He's got young Thorin Oakenshield. He's got 7 Dwarf Warriors with Shield. He's got young Dwalin, Erebor, Dwarf and Spear. I'll be quick on this one and then hand over to you, Ash. This army has received a massive nerf since the last edition, particularly the Grimhammers. Like I think they had Burley or something like that before. I think they've possibly had their strength 4 taken off them. I'm not 100%. So yeah, sorry if I've got that slightly wrong. But you know, Thror is good. Thorin Oakenshield is good. Young Dwalin is good. There's a lot of high defense in there. I think it's the same downsides of the dwarves always have. Low mobility. I just want there is going to be staying power here, but I just wonder whether it doesn't quite have enough hitting power anymore. With 24 models, that is quite low. So I know John wanted to play this because he wanted to play dwarves, so fair play. But yeah, I hope he does all right. But sorry, John, I can't see this up there.
Yeah, I think I agree with you as well. I think if it doesn't have the maneuverability there, if you come against, like, if you got Recon, it's going to take you quite a while to get your models off the board. But if, say, you need hold ground and you manage to get into the center before your opponent, you can probably do quite well at just sitting there. But
I mean,
I think
on hold ground to get there before your opponent, you'd have to hope they stop for a pint on the way, mate.
yeah, it's going to take a while. I think 24 models and nothing that's going to move very quick. I don't think it's going to do too well, but we were wrong on the last time we did one of these, so
I mean,
fingers crossed for John that we're wrong this time, but I just don't think it's that up there with the potential of other lists.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Is like, if we do poo-poo your list, take this as a challenge. Show us wrong, because we are certainly not all-knowing fonts of knowledge. So on to the next one. We've got Ned, who's the regional rep for the GBHL, and we're quite familiar with him. We've been to a lot of events with him, but that is not why I chose his list to go through. I thought it was quite interesting. So Ned came out with the 3 trolls last time, did not do that well. I don't think 3 trolls is anywhere near as good a list as people were making out, to be honest. I think the enhancements to monsters and monster only lists and monsters with might caught people out early on. I still think they're really good and they form part of an army, but I don't think they're the be all and end all people were initially making out, and I do think it adjusted pretty quickly. But this list that he's got here, only 24 models, but with the enhancements to Warriors of Numenor now being Fight 5, this is a heck of a lot of Fight 5. And with Elrond, Master of Rivendell, and Isildur, admittedly, neither of them on horse, so that does massively limit their killing potential. So they're not going to be running riot. They're just going to be consistent, kill 2 models every turn. But there's 2 of them. That's 4 models every turn. 8 in 2. 12 in 3 turns. That is pretty powerful still. Yeah, and he's got a banner in there. He's got enough elf shooting to make a lot of lists think about that. You're not going to want to sit there at 12 inches skirmishing. I think this one, if Ned has a good day, if he plays well, I think this one could be right up there. What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, I think this is one of the stronger lists with the fight skill, especially with me trying to force people to get into those combats. I think this sort of is tailored towards that, when you've got Elrond and Isildur. Yeah, and like you say, it's got enough shooting that you can sit within the 12 and shoot people as well, and get consistent kills with that as well. So I think it's a strong list. This is the sort of list I was thinking of when I came up with the rule. It was like 2 strong heroes in there, or 1 strong hero in there that is going to hopefully do a lot of damage in combat.
I think Isildur with the 1 ring, he's not on horse, but for 130, that's a very tidy package. It's a lot of hitting power compared to some of the other things you get at 130. Pretty nice. And
there's only one other model with the ring, so.
So
in the tournament,
Ned's a pretty experienced tournament player. So yeah, like I said, if he has a good day, I could see this being on the podium easily. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I'm sorry, mate. I don't know you personally. Is Liam or Liam? 1 or 2. I apologise in advance. From the Wolves of Worcestershire. He is playing the Army of the White Hand, which is another army we've heard quite a bit of chat about. And it is 32 models. He's got Saruman, Crebain. He's got some Banner. He's got quite a lot of Wild Men of Dunland. A few Flaming Brands in there. He's got a few Uruk-hai Scout Bows. He's got Grima, who is really, really nice this edition. He's not written how many bows he's got in there, but it looks like, is that 2, 4, 6? I can't see any other. So only 6 bows, so it's sort of counter shooting. But yeah, lots of spears. I think this is a good list. I do think that it's slightly underpowered at 560, like 32 models, for how sort of spam the Warriors of Dunland are. I think it would prefer to be higher points. Higher points so it can be more models. But Saruman's got some really good tricks. Grima's really good. The Oathmaker allowing Wild Men of Dunland. All these strengths don't go away. And he's scattered in there some Fight 4. Crebain are really nice. I mean, personally, I think I would have taken out one of the Crebain units and had a few more models in there. But we all have our preferences. Or some more Flaming Brands. I don't think there's enough Flaming Brands in there for my liking. What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, I think it's a good list, but I think I prefer. I sort of favour towards the other list with Saruman. Is it the Muster of Isengard, where he gets those special special magic rules?
No, that's this list.
Is that this one?
Yeah. You're thinking of the one where you get 3 marches.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
This is this one. Okay.
Yeah. And no special abilities are good. They're bringing in the lightning. Ordinarily, I'm flicking back here. If I was saying this Rivendell, this Last Alliance list versus this Army of the White Hand one, I would ordinarily say that this Rivendell one will absolutely spank the Army of the White Hand. But the Saruman extra abilities, if you get a bit of luck on that lightning strike, I mean, if you take out 4 elves, that's game changing, isn't it? With elite armies, that can make a huge difference.
And I think that happened in our last tournament. Someone, I think it was against Joe, friend of the podcast, friend of you, not me. He was playing elves, and 3 of his elves it might have been 4, got taken out in the first turn. So that's like a big hit.
I will say on that lightning strike one though, being as they said they wanted to take out all feel bads from the game, what on earth is that rule doing in there? Like, that is like the definition of a feel bad.
If you're a new player,
yeah.
If you're a new player and you're not aware of the rules, that is a got you moment.
Yeah, here is something you can literally do nothing about. You can play scatter formation, and then if they're savvy about it, all they do is they just wait until you have to close ranks. It is a terrible rule.
I think as well, the Grimmer is a bit like that. Grimmer is a bit like that with his, you can put him next to a hero, and they have to spend 2 points of might every time they use 1 point. And he's a 25-point model. If you're not taking him, why are you not taking him? Because 25 points for him to burn might like that is crazy.
But yeah, he's definitely a gimme. But yeah, in conclusion, I do think it is a little bit on the lower side of models, but there's a lot of strengths here. So yeah, again, I would at least expect to see this top half personally. But yeah, but best of luck with that. It's an army I'm interested in playing, despite the rules are the rules, aren't they? So like you can only play with what they've given us. And despite what I've said, I do like sort of the army composition of this and the idea of reusing my Dunland for a second force. But yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on this one, seeing how it does. Then we have David, a garrison of Fail. So I think I picked this one again, and it's mainly because it's Goblin Town, and Goblin Town I think came fourth at our last one. 58 models. It is a lot of models. I think they're going to have to be. David's going to have to be careful with his time management, making sure he doesn't time himself out of the game. All I really need to say is 58 models. That is hard to deal with. That is a strength that is very hard to overcome in any of the scenarios. This one,
I think so.
I could see this. It's one of those lists. I could see it either doing really well or having a terrible day, because that is its only real strength is extreme numbers now. Goblin King's not bad, but he's not going to win you a game by himself.
If you came against this list, I can't remember what the courage for goblins is, but I'm imagining it's probably 2. That means they're down to like a 1.
Yeah.
And so you're taking 1 as your like to wound.
Yeah,
so
I just have to play.
Yeah, you could do a lot of damage. Especially with trolls, and
I'd have to play it savvy, make sure I don't get overwhelmed and get flanked and stuff. But yeah, you got the potential to strip that 58 down pretty quickly. But yeah, this does a big advantage for this on the day, like not being able to shoot out to 24. That's going to help quite a lot, being able to get within 12 inches with all 58 models. All right, let's move on.
There's going to be a lot of mobbing going on.
So we've got Jordan's list, which is the Black Gate one. So 27 models, 13 and a half breakpoint, Mordor Troll Chieftain, Morannons, Morannon with a banner, Mouth of Sauron, another Mordor Troll, 6 Morannon Orcs, more Morannon Orcs. This is very, in terms of how this is going to intend to play, this is very similar because to my list, because you've got the Morannons with their strength 4. So most of the time, they're going to be wounded on 5s. Mine are going to be wounded on 5s because of the courage thing. I like that there's 2 trolls. The Mordor Troll Chieftain is a nasty piece of work. That is very difficult to deal with. If it nurses its might, almost impossible to deal with. This could potentially do well. I do have to say that I pip my list a bit more. I've got a little bit extra numbers, and the Witch King is a far superior caster to the Mouth of Sauron. Troll Chieftain doesn't have all that much will, so I would back myself in a head-to-head with this, because those Morannon Orcs are going down to courage 1 with the Witch King. But I do think there's a lot of lists this could do well against. I like the double troll for the same reasons as mine. Mouth of Sauron certainly isn't useless, and that Mordor Troll Chieftain is nasty, especially for 150 points. Anything from yourself, Ash, on this one before we move on?
Yeah, I've just read here that that's Mordor Orc models. Okay, yeah, so the Morannons get +1 to wound with this.
Okay, or universally.
So they're wounded on 4s. Yeah.
Very, very killy then.
Friendly Mordor Orc models engaged in combat. Yeah. When making strikes against an outnumbered opponent, so they have to outnumber.
I see. Okay, yeah. So it's like backstabbers.
And then the troll has fearless,
which I do think, though, at 27 models,
at
27 models, how much use are you going to get out of that? It is quite low. But yeah. I can see just from the construction of the warbands here, I reckon Jordan probably had a similar problem as me. It's hard to use up all the points, and then if you want to afford another warband, you can't really afford to fill out that warband. It's a bit difficult with some of them. But yeah, good luck with that, Jordan. A fellow man of culture with double trolls. I'd like to see how you do. Then we've got Ant from the Garrison of Fale, who is playing the Garrison of Dale. So we've got Girion with Windlance. That is real, and a second Windlance. Okay. I don't understand that at all. I'll be honest. Did he read the pack? Yeah. Sorry, Anne. I don't mean to laugh at you directly here. I realise that's exactly what I'm doing. But yeah, quite a lot of bows and 2 Windlances. I think Ant is going to have a hard time getting the use out of them. What do you think, Ash?
I'm just reading the rules on a Windlance quick. Yeah, I did hear some discussion going on that the Windlance might still be quite good even within the 12-inch
Can you even move it though?
effect with Dale. Yes, you can, I believe. It doesn't say. We'll have to have a look at that and see.
At minimum, it's going to be a heavy object, and it's not going to be moving very, very fast. I don't know. Come and find me, Ant, on the day, and tell me. I'm obviously missing something here through my lack of experience. There must be a plan behind this. I mean, if we exclude that, I do think Garrison of Dale is like pretty solid. Like the profiles are all pretty solid. Esgaroth bows are pretty solid. Girion is pretty solid. It is a nice army. You can make a nice army out of it. But for your I wouldn't be saying any of this if it wasn't for your specific rules. But, maybe this is what Ant had and he wanted to play it, which fair enough. People should always play what you enjoy. Don't build an army just because it's meta. Like, rules are transient. Cool models are forever. Anything else, Ash?
I think it's got still got high model count even with the 2 Windlances. So let's see. I think this might be one that surprises us.
I don't know. It depends what at 560, I would sort of define high model count as 35 and above. I think that's quite good. I think below that, like I'm on 29, and I consider that to be a low model count army. But do we have an average of what the model count is?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, don't worry. But yeah, if you're seeing something here that we're not, like I say, we don't know anything, and maybe we're missing something here. Let us know, what the Garrison of Dale is packing and what those Windlances can do. Maybe they are just so good. Maybe Ant is thinking 3 steps ahead. He's thinking people are going to bring a lot of monsters. Maybe it takes me a time to get there, but I want to make sure I've got a Windlance to take them down. Maybe that's his thinking. I don't know. Maybe he is an expert monster hunter. We will have to see. But we're keeping an eye on it. We're keeping an eye on all of these. I was shocked at who won our last tournament, so it could happen again. So moving on, this one is definitely Liam. So Liam, Wolves of Worcestershire, A. And this is a list that we've seen a few of them quite similar, haven't we? And it is the Balrog, massive 350 points there, a Cave Troll with a hand and half weapon, and a smattering of Moray Goblins. 21 models, but that doesn't really matter because even if you break this list because of the Balrogs, really annoying rule. My least favourite rule in MESBG. The army is not broken unless the Balrog has taken like half its wounds off. I feel like I have inadvertently been quite negative for the last 5 minutes, Ash. So why don't you talk about this list? Because, it's one that I'm I'm not a big fan of playing, and I'll tell you briefly why afterwards.
Yeah, so this one is, I think this is quite a good one to bring to this, because you, the Balrog also, you can only ever hit him on a 5+.
Mm.
So not only can you only ever hit on a 5+, you also then have to roll an in the way every time. So it's going to be a struggle to like shoot at him, and also it gives Moria goblins +1 to their fight value. I know it's not very much, but it's still making the goblins a bit more feasible. And yeah, obviously you've got that annoying rule where he can't be killed.
Yeah.
Sorry, he can't count as broken. He's also dominant 10, so if you can get him on an objective, that's quite a good part. And he's got Harbinger of Evil as well. Um, so yeah, that's quite a good one to have in there.
For,
And he's got loads of other nice rules.
for me,
Um,
I think this is one of those lists
and
where
there's not a lot of cavalry lists.
true, but I don't. What's that got to do with the Balrog?
Well, normally you just ride around the board and run away from him, but
Well, I mean,
he's probably going to catch most people up.
I've beaten a very similar list to this, like quite. Yeah, I've beaten the Balrog every single time I've played it. I usually have higher numbers, but all I ever do is kill the goblins, and then you just run off in a load of different directions. I think, my problem with a list like this playing against it, and I'm saying this as an opponent, I'm not saying Liam or anyone else shouldn't bring the list, is that I think it's a gimme for some of the scenarios. For like hold ground, unless you've brought Sauron, this is pretty much impossible to beat at hold ground unless Liam does something very, very silly. Even if you've just got the Balrog left, you're probably going to win hold ground. But then on like the one, was it with the 5 scenarios? I think you would have a hard time losing to this list with most armies. There just aren't enough numbers there, and the goblins aren't good enough. I've actually beaten this list at that scenario. You just rotate round. You're just like, okay, you're coming here, I'm going there. I'm just going to make sure I always have 3, and your goblins aren't good enough, and you've got too many points in the Balrog. But it's an iconic model. It's a cool model. If you like playing with big monsters, it's a cool list for that. I can see why people play it, but yeah, as an opponent player, I'm saying here, not as a TO, not as somebody saying, oh, you shouldn't do that. I do really dislike it because it's just like, okay, what scenario do I have? All right, I do what I've done every time I've played against the Balrog, or it's a scenario where I probably can't win. I will say a lot of the scenarios, I think with the list I'm bringing, I'll probably have a hard time against this. I don't have enough numbers, and if it gets hold of my trolls, which is a good chance it could, that's a large amount of my points gone. So yeah, for my specific list I'm coming with, I really hope if I play, I avoid this list. I think it could do really well against me. It's very anti-monster. If you've brought not monsters, the Balrog is a big problem for you. But yeah. You think that's fair, or am I
I
being
probably
too
would have
harsh?
split the cave. No, I think it's fair. I probably would have moved the cave troll into warband 2. Just so you've got a bit of hitting power in both warbands. But yeah, I think it's going to do pretty well because there's not a lot that can shoot at your goblins.
Oh, that's the other thing.
Either. So
that's the other thing is I do think they should change the rule for the broken thing on the Balrog. I think it should be like if you get below, like maybe even 20%, something really low. Because the thing is apart from hold ground, if you have killed all the goblins, what is the point in carrying on the game? Like really? He's either achieved his objectives or you're going to be running away from him for the rest of the game. I have played that where we have been there for 30 minutes running around the Balrog, and the running away from the Balrog, and the only thing that could possibly change was if I made a mistake. So like it was a really boring game for both of us because I was taking a meticulous amount of time to make sure I didn't make any mistakes. That was frustrating for my opponent. The scenario, like the outcome, wasn't going to change. I had won the game, and yeah, very few scenarios do I think that's going to change where you're less than 20% of your models and your opponent's not broken. I do think there needs to be some tweaking there just for player enjoyment. I don't see the point in playing out 20 minutes when there's just a Balrog and it's not hold ground or something. But there we go. Good luck to Liam, as we're saying to all of our list reviews. And then on to Ryan. Here we go. One of our big hopes to get on the podium. We've got a few other talented players coming that I think could do well. Ryan is playing Minas Morgul, which is a popular list with the Centurions of Mercia. I think that's by coincidence, though. We've all sort of been practicing it in isolation. So he's gone for Witch King, Horse. He's gone for the Crown and the Morgul Blade. So a few extra points there. He's then got some Orcs, Orc with Banner, Spectre, some more Orcs, Orc Captain, another Spectre, and then the same again in the third warband. So 3 Spectres there, so giving him a good chance of getting that Compel power going off. You know, how many models is this? Does it say anywhere? Ash?
Yeah.
Is it 38?
It says there at the top, 38. 38
yeah, 38. Yeah. So yeah, that is a really good, if you're going for numbers, I think at 560, 38 with this list, that's a really good amount of numbers. I think this could do well. Witch King on Horse has got a lot of hitting power. I need to count up the Orcs, but yeah, I'm not sure I would have personally taken the Crown and the Morgul Blade. If there is the availability, I would have maybe snuck in some even higher numbers in there, because I think if he gets to 39, that increases his break point. The 40 is less important, but going up to 39 would have taken him to 20, which is quite a lot. Ryan did really well at the last event. I think he could do really well again. He played Goblin Town last time, didn't he? So
yeah, Goblin Town last time.
Yeah, he's used to play.
List.
He's used to playing high numbers, but he's got a lot more hitting power here. And those Spectres, you can't forget as well. They allow you to ignore terror, so that's useful for tying up monsters, and if anybody else has got terror elsewhere. Anything from yourself, Ash, on that?
No, I think having the Witch King on that horse is a good choice. I think.
Yeah.
It just adds that extra maneuverability to him. I think he might suffer not having a troll. I think given the new monster rules, I think you need to get a troll in there. Yeah, maybe not 2 like you, but at least 1. I think would be a good shout.
I mean, it depends. Like, I think monsters to play well takes a bit of talent, and I think a numerous list like this takes a bit of talent. Like, you've not got insane numbers like 58, 38, so you have got to exploit those things. So I don't know. You know, if Ryan is better at playing with numbers than I am at playing with monsters, you know, I think that's the decider here. I think there's plenty of tools to do well, especially with that Blades of the Dead rule. I mean, if you think about that, if my say me and him went on a head-to-head and my trolls went into them and they fluffed their dice rolls, could be in some serious trouble against Blades of the Dead.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, good luck, Ryan. As you're a teammate, I especially hope that you do well. And if I do play, I hope I play you in the later stages of the day. But yeah, that is all of the lists that we had to go through today. You know, if we've made some big mistakes, if we've misread some of the rules, if you think there is a list that's not been revealed, that is a real sleeper, and we're going to see on the top 3, then definitely do let us know. I hope everybody can take it with a pinch of salt. This is just, you know, us trying to do a bit of analysis just because we've thought one thing. You know, like I say, go out there and prove us wrong, and we'll be more than happy to do an interview with you at the end of the day. depending on whether I play or not, will vary how much coverage we're going to do. But at minimum, we should be able to interview the podium. We're going to be doing as much event coverage as we can do. We've got a much better setup. We've got a professional camera. We've got professional lights. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, I think that's enough talking from me. Ash, you're the TO. What else you got to say? And then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, like you said, gonna have some coverage again of the event. Probably catch up with the interim leader at lunch, at a minimum as well. Obviously, I'm gonna do the roll off for each scenario at the beginning of each game. So that'll add a bit of spice, I think. Keep people on their toes. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good day like last time. Looking forward to it. Obviously, depending on when this video goes out, but we're going to go set up on Friday night, get everything ready. So yeah, looking forward to running another event, and yeah, looking forward to seeing what comes at the top. Now we're starting to see maybe the Witch King come back into his podium maybe. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully some of these lists do prove us wrong, and we can interview that person at the end and understand their reasoning behind the list that they've built.
And if you've got a burning passion to feature on the podcast and you're in attendance on Saturday, come and make yourself known. If I've got a free 5 minutes, we'll be happy to do a quick hobby interview with you, or list review, or whatever. Or maybe, particularly if you're Ant, you can come and tell me off about slagging off your Garrisons of Dale and put me back in my place when you show me a top 5 finish. That would be a good laugh. We're open for anything, within reason. If you go on a political rant, I probably won't. If you go on a political rant, I probably won't publish that. I'll just smile.
Anyone can slug off the special rule, as much as they want.
Yeah, I've got a couple of burner accounts. I've been doing that for weeks, Ash.
Doesn't surprise me.
All right. Okay. So yeah.
Okay, let's tidy it up.
Yeah. Like I say, we'll see you on the day. Ash is your main man. If I'm not playing, I'll be helping out, but we'll be making you aware of all that on the day. I'm going to have a good day either way. I'm either going to do a ton of interviews or I'm going to get to play, so it'll be ace. And then we'll follow up the event with our event summary video, where maybe if you've left early because you didn't have that great a day, you can find out who took home the silverware. But yeah, that's everything from me. Cheers. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Ash, over to you, mate.
Yeah, look forward to seeing everyone, and yeah, looking forward to it. Catch you all later.
Cheers. Bye.